All right, guys, who is the best godly in Anime Last Stand? We're going to be showcasing every single godly and then ranking them on the tier list so we can find out once and for all. All right, guys, let's get it started. And we also got a code as well later in the video. And don't forget, guys, we're on the road to 1 million subscribers. We're making insane progress every day, so smash the subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, guys, I just guessed the secret code. The code is secret code. So there you go, guys. That is the code. I just redeemed it, and it gave me a jewel and some rerolls. I want to give a big shout out to my mod, Ethan, for helping me with this vid. All right, let's go over here and start off with some good RNG, and then we'll get the showcase popping. All right, Sunjan Wu, he needs a better enchant. Ooh, that's not terrible. Okay, you know what? Mastery, I'll keep that for now. And, oh, magical. He has a new Hex DOT effect. Nice, I'll take it. All right, let's roll. Let's roll. All right, here we go. So we're going to start off with these 4 guys. Let's let it rip. So I got the 2 OG godlies, and he got the 2 new godlies, and then we'll rank the rest as well. So let's get it started. All right, first, let's go over the passives of the units that we have. So Pride's passive is, oh, let me zoom in. So Pride's passive is 30% damage to all flames type DOT. And Sukuna's is reduced cooldowns by 20%. Both of these passives, I'm gonna be honest, nothing too much to write home about. They're kind of mid. All right, not gonna lie. All right, so this is Luffy's team passive for leader slot. Automatically permanently slows any enemy that enters the map by 15% and causes them to permanently take 5% more damage. So that is honestly currently the current best one I've seen. And then we have every 5th attack increase crit damage and crit chance by all units in range by 50% for 15 seconds. That's not bad either, guys. Honestly, that's better than these guys. So that's pretty interesting. All right, let's get it started off, and let's go see what their starting stats are. So starting stats are actually kind of crazy, guys. So Escanor is actually cheaper, but look at these stats: 13 million, 12 million. He gets a buff with his thingy here. And he also does an extra 24 million, guys. His starting stats are actually pretty freaking wild. I'm gonna be honest, for his price, you get him down, he's doing like dang near 40 million. That's pretty OP. All right. And then unfortunately, Sukuna's only doing like 22 million, but honestly, both of them are very good starting out. So so far, not bad at all. So let's start upgrading them a little bit. So upgrading them a little bit, you guys can kind of see what their damage is looking like. Honestly, both some very, very good damage. All right, we'll upgrade both of them. Now, passive-wise, this guy buffs himself, and he buffs fire. And this guy, he buffs Gojo, and then he does this cool little thingy where he does a frick ton of damage. So he's more of a DPS weapon than Escanor is. So let's go max them out real quick. All right, we're going to have them placed down. Give it a second. There we go. Attack effects. So you guys kind of see the AoEs. This guy's more of a cone AoE, and this guy turns into a full AoE type unit. So I told him to place down the unit, so give him a second to load in. He was gonna place down the unit so we can compare. All right, so Luffy Sun God, 10 million off rip, cartoon logic and liberating drums, not bad. So a decent amount of damage. He does have that, which is pretty good. I will say he definitely not doing as much off rip as the other 2, but he is still a good unit. And then we have Garo. Oh yeah. Why is he level 11? Yeah, he's gonna make Gara upgrade 0. So we're gonna take a look at his placement stats here. 7 million and no passives, guys. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, now you can max him. So now we're just gonna start maxing all of them, and we'll like start putting them on the tier list a little bit. Here we go. Let's max them all out. So this guy, 292 million. Gives the option to use Cosmic Mode or Baldy Mode. Okay, pretty cool. Cannot switch to a different one. You have a one-time use of mode swap. And then Imitation changes last upgrade stats based on selected mode. So it either gives him a lot of damage. It gives either him a lot of damage or range. So that's pretty interesting. So he has a cool little like mode swap ability. But honestly, his stats are kind of low. I'm not gonna lie. Which first? All right, yeah, let's do we'll do Cosmic. So he has 2 modes, so we'll check out both modes. So Cosmic mode first. So this is Cosmic Mode 645, guys, and Galactic Destroyer. So he has an instant kill ability, really OP, and that's a lot of damage, guys. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually really good. All right, next. So low-key, not bad at all, guys. That's some really, really good damage. That's kind of buffing him up a little bit, not gonna lie. And Galactic Destroyer is pretty good. And then we have the other mode. All right, other mode. All right, here we go. Bald mode. Serious punch. Less damage overall, but a lot of range, guys. Look at that range is crazy. 100x damage to all enemies in range. Hold back. Unit has a chance to hold back, so similar to Baldi's attack. And exponential growth. His damage is going to skyrocket. So overall, he's a pretty good damaging unit with not really a whole lot of, looks like it's support capabilities. And his starting stats are not too crazy either. But overall, a pretty good unit, guys. I'm going to give him A tier right now. Very strong. As far as Escanor goes, I'm going to give him A tier as well. I'm going to say he's really good for starting out with that 40 million damage. Same thing with Sukuna. I'm going to say Sukuna is up there as well. I'm going to say Hero Hunter just does more damage, it seems like, than Sukuna at max. So I'm going to give Hero Hunter the edge. As far as Gear 5 Luffy is concerned, he hasn't really changed a whole lot. 100 million DPS still, Exceeded Imagination and Ultimate Gun and Cartoon Logic. So he's still a very, very solid unit, guys. So I'm going to give him... I don't really necessarily think he's better or worse than anybody else. He's kind of all the same. So I'm going to give him A tier as well. Right now, I'm honestly going to say Escanor I'm kind of giving the edge to because I like the full AoE. You guys can kind of see the stats. Like, full AoE and this, like, it's hard to beat that. Even this guy, you know, that's just the damage just isn't quite there. So far, this is our rankings, guys. Let's go move on to the next set. All right, just skip. All right, we'll just skip the abilities for now. All right, let's move on to the next set. All right, here we go, guys. So I brought what I would say is like the 2 cheapest godlies. So it's hard to really get cheaper than these guys. They actually made this guy a lot cheaper, 8,000 and then 1,000. We can kind of see what their stats are. 1.65 for 3.9. Honestly, not really that impressive. And the same with Ichigo. You guys can kind of see how similar their stats are right here. Yeah, you guys can kind of see extra damage buff, Quincy buff, and final battle Aizen buff. And this guy has Divine Aura, basically increases other units SPA. So we're gonna have to sell this guy for now, but he increases other units SPA, which is very, very nice. All right, let's go start upgrading this guy. And you guys can kind of see what he's gonna like. His damage just doesn't really go up that fast. He does have that support capability, which is very useful, but again, his damage definitely could be a little bit better. He does have a time stop as well. I don't know if I really like that per much, but I will say his SPA buff could be very useful and definitely probably the best support godly right now. But as far as damage wise goes, 239 for 7 isn't bad, but it's just like, I feel like there's just better godlies out there. He does have time stop though. So he's definitely more of a support godly. And unfortunately the starting stats are just kind of mid. I know he's only 850, but dang, like I see units with like 40 million. He has 1.65 million. So it's kind of hard to catch up when you're doing that little damage. All right, we got to go max him out real quick. All right, here we go. Let's go max him out. 369 with Accelerate. 9 SPA. I don't really like his damage that much. Again, his only saving grace is his time stop, but he's not even really necessarily that's his only saving grace. Honestly, as far as like godlies go, I'm going to say he's definitely like a tier below. He's probably like a B tier godly. I'm not really just a big fan. Let's go with Ichigo. People aren't really liking his buff either. He gets 30% duration of debuffing status effects, not terrible, and cancels elemental at disadvantage. So this can be kind of useful, but not really that useful. Because if you're designing your team around that, you should be getting 3x, and this just makes it not -3. Like, it's just not that useful. As far as this guy goes, you guys can see I don't really like his passive much. His best passive is probably probably the Quincy bloodline. You have to stack him with that, which is kind of annoying. His damage, it just does not hold up. Like it gets pretty good, but like I don't know. I just feel like there's better units out there. 314 for 6. That's like half of Luffy's DPS. And True Kai release is honestly not really that great either. It's okay. His stats get a little bit better, but honestly, overall, I just don't know who to recommend him to. I'll probably put him in the C tier. I just don't really I just don't think his buff is really that good, honestly. I'm kind of a little bit disappointed with it. So I'm gonna put him in the C tier. All right, we got some more units to put down. So let's go put down Goku next. All right, Goku. So Goku got a best. All right, good. So 2.87 million again, kind of low. Here's his thing. He has that counterattack thing and master of adaptation. Basically, his stats just get buffed over time. Very good for like longer modes. You guys can kind of see his damage. Honestly, it's going up, but it's not going up enough to make it worth it. He does have honed body, so all enemies on map take 30% more damage until death. Kind of useful. And then he gets final energy bomb, 20 billion times charge count, which is not bad at all. But look at his DPS, guys. His DPS is like 50 million right now. That is awfully low. You're gonna have to wait for his master of adaptation to kick in. But overall, his DPS is just so low, and he lost his support capabilities. He does have the Gohan buff, but that's literally the only thing going for him. So I'm really disappointed he lost his capability, really. So yeah, he's gonna use the nuke. So his nuke is actually at least pretty good. So he's gonna nuke. I assume he nuked. Okay, there we go. With a nuke and honed body. Honestly, honed body's all right. But honestly, I don't really recommend him anymore. He lost what made him special. So I'm going to put him in the C tier. I just don't really recommend going for him. All right, Wukong now. All right, let's go see Wukong after the buffs and changes. All right, so Wukong starting stats. 5 million. That's actually a lot better than I thought. He's 2 million starting price. And he does summon the clones off rip as well, which is very useful. And he does have that plasma thing as well. So look at the stats, guys. Plus bleed, definitely one of the better godlies. Full AoE in the middle with like a lot of damage, and then he gets bolt and dang near full AoE. Like really nice AoE. His damage is pretty crazy. 400 million for 5, 80 million DPS. Definitely better than a lot of the other units. As far as passives go, he does have the bonus with the monkey state, like his freaking, he summons his bonus guys. So that's going to increase his DPS even more. So overall, he has a very, very nice DPS, I would say. And definitely a pretty strong unit. So honestly, as far as like DPS goes, he's definitely pretty high on my list. He doesn't have his crazy abilities like Luffy and whatnot, but his DPS does get up there. So I'm gonna say he's pretty good. I'm gonna put him probably right about here. So Wukong, definitely one of the better godlies out there. As far as his passive goes, his passive kind of sucks, but it is what it is. All right, let's go move on to our last guy. We only have one more godly left, Sunjan Wu. All right, here we go, guys. Sunjan Wu, will he be the saving grace? Look at that range, guys. 3 million looks bad, but you add an extra 4 million. I'm gonna be honest, his starting stats are not crazy, but he does have some abilities as well off rip, like Dragon Sphere, which is pretty nice, Shadow Extraction off rip, and Monarch's Pressure. So all these passives are happening off rip, which is kind of why his damage is a little bit on the lower side. And you should start to see yeah, you can start to see we get some clones coming in, and they're gonna be very, very useful for us. So that's kind of why he's starting off a little bit on the low side, but honestly, it's not too bad. All right, as far as upgrades go, his damage skyrockets pretty fast. Now he's already doing like a good amount of damage, so it's kind of hard to complain with that. And then he does have his summons. We'll go over each of the summons. So Shadow Commander is the first of the summons. We'll go over him real quick, but you guys can kind of already see he's already doing like 40 million for 3, so he's a very fast SPA, so it's hard to really hard to complain with that. So max that out. Shadow Commander isn't really doing a whole lot of damage. He's doing like a little bit of damage. Let's see what kind of passive he has going on. Not really any passive going on. Now his passive is he buffs clones and stuff, which is pretty good, I'd say. So he's not bad to have in the leader slot if you're bringing him. As far as his little summon guy goes, you guys can kind of see stat-wise, not bad. An extra 40 million for 5. That's an extra 8 million DPS, which really adds up. As far as Sunjan Wu goes, you guys can kind of see he gets Mutilate, which is very useful. 80 million. Not full AoE, but a pretty sizable AoE. Not too bad at all. Otherwise, crit chance is so low. Maybe I need to fix his skill tree or something. I'm kind of, I don't know. It should be like 45%. I think I might need to fix his skill tree. All right, anyways. 101 million. Again, his damage is pretty good, plus all of the clones as well. So we got some clones to check out. This guy self-buffs himself, and look at that damage, guys. 60 million for 9. Like, he just keeps having all these clones that add on that extra DPS. Crippled, which makes them take Oh, which makes it take 15% more damage and buffs all shadows 42 for 4, like dang near 10 million DPS. And then we have this guy who also has flames, which is an extra like 70 million for 10. Like it just keeps adding up on Sunjan Wu. And his base damage is already doing 460 million for 8. Like, dude. So overall, Sunjan Wu just really brings the DPS. He doesn't really have a whole lot of support capabilities, but like he definitely is. He seems like the best DPS in the game to me. So I'm gonna rank him pretty highly on my list. Well, let's go check out the max stats. Max stats 159 and Shadow's King Domain. Deals 20 billion damage to all enemies in range. So basically he also has a nuke as well, and he also buffs himself. So we'll use that. Bang. And now he's doing 600 million. And I believe he also buffs all the shadows as well. You guys can kind of see they're doing some crazy damage as well. So overall, this guy just packs in an insane amount of DPS. In my opinion, he is #1 on the godly tier list. So comment down below, guys. This is my godly tier list. Dio over Evan's not the greatest, and honestly, Goku and Ichigo are really the worst in my opinion. But I want to hear you guys have thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe, guys. We're on the road to 1 million subs.